out. It's winter go home now. So as a senior, I don't want my season to end. So I'm going to do whatever I can, in my power to, try to help my team win, try to, be a leader, help Javante out, help Trey, help Bree, help the rest of the teammates out. I just want to, win. So whatever I got to do, I'm going to do.
Do you feel like you're playing your best basketball lately?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a good rhythm offensively, but I also think it's just a sense of urgency, just playing hard, just want to play hard and give myself a chance to win. If we fail, I can be able to sleep at night knowing that I gave it my all. So that's just the mentality I'm taking, that I've been taking the past few weeks, and especially, this week is just want to leave it all out there on the floor and, whatever happens, happens.
Now, how much does Melvin's injury kind of caused you to be a little bit more assertive even offensively?
Melvin, he's a big part of our team. He's a talented scorer. He can score in a variety of ways. He's electric. So, him being out yesterday, I took it upon myself to really be aggressive. Even if my shot wasn't falling, just continue to attack, be aggressive, just because, we need somebody has to, step up and, give that production that he usually gives. So that was my mentality, and hopefully, he can come back this week. We really need him, but if not, myself, Trey, Jew, Bree, the rest of the guys are going to have to step up.
Did you still get that exciting feeling when you saw the name pop up at the 5 seed?
Never gets old, never gets old. One thing Coach, he always told me was never take it for granted, because it's a lot of teams that got snubbed this year. You look at SMU, they had a great year. They didn't make it to the tournament, so it's not guaranteed. So every time, to see your name on CBS on Sunday, it's a special feeling, and to be able to, to go 4 times in a row, that's a blessing.
Rob, we talked yesterday about kind of the disappointment after that loss. Does that make it a little bit easier, or can you turn the page quicker after you see that all of a sudden you're on to a new thing? It's a couple hours later. Does it kind of accelerate that process?
Definitely. I mean, you have to be successful in the tournament. We can't dwell on that loss too long. We got a game on Friday, so I think it definitely helps, speed up that process of, getting over the loss. Of course, it hurts. It's the second year in a row, being, minutes away from a, A-10 championship, but, it happened, and you got to move on, and we got to get ready, for SFA.
How much different is it for you guys? In 2011, nobody knew you were. And then you win in Dayton after people said you didn't belong in, and then you just kept knocking off one big team after another, and you kind of became the fascination of the country. How much different is it now that people know who you are, that you're not the underdog, the little train that could, and all that stuff, that people know who you are? Lots of people pick you. How much different is that to kind of be marked?
I honestly think, the 2011 team, one thing, I always think about that team is just going out there, we just played because there was no expectations at all. It was like, all right, let's see what we can do. So, if we were to lose against Dayton, were to lose against, USC in the first round, it's not that big of a deal. All right, we went to the tournament and lost, but, we had the mindset of, we're here, let's do something. No expectations, and, we thrived off of that. The past 2 years, people are expecting Final Fours all the time, and it's tough. I think sometimes the blessing and the curse about that team is how easy we made it seem to get to the Final Four, when, in fact, it's tough. It's a lot of, great teams in the field, and, you have to be playing your best basketball at the right time and, get hot. But I just think, this year we just got to come in a mentality where we just got to play, just let it all out. Don't care about what people are saying, don't care about the expectations. Of course we hold ourselves to a high standard, but if we just go out there and just play our game and just, just follow the plan and, and do what we do, be ourselves, we should be all right.
Do the younger guys on the team ask you what 2011 was like?
Sometimes. We really haven't talked about it this year. We talked about it when we, saw the Final Four documentary a few weeks back, but I expect them, to ask about it, this week, especially, the freshmen, just to understand what goes into winning at this time of the year.
Is that experience on now? Because this is it.
Yeah, I know for sure I'm gonna, do whatever I can, and I know what it takes. I know what it takes. I know what we have to do. It's just all about going out there and doing it, and getting everybody on the same page. Me and Javante, we're seniors, and we're the last ones to make it past, the Sweet 16 and beyond. So, our goal is to get out the first weekend, obviously, and get back, to Dallas. But in order for that to happen, me and Jew, we got to take accountability and, really lead these guys. Because, you look at the roster, Trey, Bree, they have 2 tournament wins, so they have some experience. But to reach the goals that we have, it's going to come on, me and Jew to really lead the team and, really lead the way.
This is the fascination of so many people. They fill out office pool brackets and, they call it March Madness for a reason. What's it like when you finally step on the court and you're in the middle of March Madness and it's time to play? Because all that, do you pay attention to any of the stuff that goes on around the games?
I haven't been paying attention. I haven't watched SportsCenter yet. None of that. I'm sure, the coaches will have some motivation for us this week, but it's definitely different, from filling out a bracket every year in high school, with friends, watching SportsCenter, watching the upsets, being a fan to actually being in, part of it is just a whole, different dynamic. You got to be focused. You can't focus on what's going on. Somebody loses before you play. You can't get hyped because you got to play. So it's a different dynamic, but, it's great. It's everything that I imagine.
Rob, you mentioned the 2011 team just played loosey-goosey, no expectations. How challenging has it been, I guess, in each of the last couple of years going into this one, of having more expectations put on you guys because of what you did in 2011?
It's definitely just challenging because, everyone expects you to go back to the Final Four. Like, they expect it, to be easy or to make it look easy. Like how the 2011 team, we beat, 5 BCS schools. We beat them by, double digits. We beat Kansas by double digits. So, obviously, they're like, it's not that hard. How come you can't go every year and win? It's not that simple. So, I just think the main thing is to really just try to get that mindset, that me and Jew, we were a part of that, just having fun, just, seeing how long we could ride this thing out and, instilling that in this team, just realizing that, it's on us. We don't got to live up to nobody's expectations, no matter who it is, what the analysts are saying. We just got to go out there and, be ourselves, and we should be fine.
Do you stress that with the do you stress that with the guys before game time?
That's one thing I'm going to definitely do. And this is my last go-round, so, I want to, leave it all out there. And like I said earlier, if we come up short, but I know I left it all out there and I know I played my heart out, then, I know I can sleep at night, with no regrets. So that's the main thing this week for myself, and that I'm going to try to, get to my teammates.
In 11, everybody's saying bad stuff about you, something Shaka was masterful at putting in front of you guys before every game. Do you avoid ESPN and the analysts now because instead of saying who the heck is VCU, lots of people pick you guys? Do you not want to have that?
Me personally, I think since I've been here, VCU has always thrived when people doubted us, when people didn't believe in us, when people, didn't think we were good, and we always played our best basketball, trying to prove people wrong. So, you got to be able to take criticism and praise the same way. You can't get too high, you can't get too low. So, sometimes with, praise, you could take it too high and, think that you're better than what you really are, or, you arrived when we haven't arrived. So, it's just all about, the responding to whether it's adversity or criticism or praise, the right way and just following the process.
You've been to 4 consecutive tournaments now, you and Jew. Was that ever a goal? Was that something that was ever discussed or thought about? Or?
It really wasn't discussed, my freshman year, but I knew coming into college, I always thought that, teams always make the tournament. And it just happened that I made the tournament 4 years in a row. So in a sense, it's everything that I've expected, but I also learned that not everyone makes the tournament. I've learned that, freshman year, my freshman year, we barely made the tournament. So that right there gave me an appreciation of the tournament when I made it my sophomore year, when I made it my junior year. And then this year, just because I know how, small the margin is where you can make it. We were in the first 4. So, this is one of the opportunities that I don't take for granted because it doesn't happen every year. This teammates, one of my teammates, Anthony Jackson, one of my old high school teammates, I was watching his, the championship game against Albany, I think, on Saturday for them to get a bid to go to the dance. And, they came up short. And, he's been in college 4 years and, he hasn't made it. So it just shows how precious this opportunity is.
Do you draw on the appreciation? I mean, that first year here, you're talking to guys who have been through the CBI, you're playing with guys who have been kind of outside of that. Do you draw on their appreciation, kind of remember that, your teammates, that sort of thing, to keep you grounded, I guess?
Yeah, definitely. I know Joey for sure, his senior year was to get back to the tournament. You know, they played the CBI. So I remember him, you know, talking to Summer like, we got to get back to the tournament. And, you know, I think, you know, those guys, one thing I could draw from, especially Joey, just the hunger. You know, they were hungry. They weren't in you know, the A-10. They didn't play in the Barclays Center. You know, they were in the CAA. They didn't play on TV every night. So I think for me, you know, when all these things, you know, they came so fast. You know, this whole program has changed in the past 4 years. So I just try to appreciate everything, which is, you know, tournament berths, anything that comes towards us.
Is it hard not to feel spoiled by all that?
I mean, honestly, for me, and I think Javante could say the same, it's not just because knowing where we came from, you know. There's been times where we weren't on TV as much as we are, you know, now. And, you know, where tournaments is expected, tournament berths, you know, it's not enough no more for VCU. There was a time where if you just made the tournament, it was a successful season. Like, that's a great season for VCU. Now it's like, you know, if we go to the tournament and don't go to the Sweet 16 or don't win a game, then it's like, you know, it was a bust season. So, you know, just seeing where we came from, I've got a great appreciation. I don't feel spoiled at all. You know, I feel like, you know, I worked hard, we've worked hard, so everything that we get, we deserve.
Is it almost like a double-edged sword?
In a sense, yeah, in a sense. But, you know, I wouldn't want it, you know, any other way.
We're talking about, I guess, all people picking you guys up, but it's not everybody. I mean, on the selection show last night, they were picking against you. Coach K was talking about how the ACC teams deserve more bids than the A-10 teams. They're still fueling that fire, right?
I mean, like I said, I haven't watched SportsCenter, but you just told me that, you know, teams analysts are picking against us. So maybe this could bring back, you know, some of that 2011 attitude where the whole country was like just bashing us and all that, and we just came out like with a us against the world mentality. So, you know, whatever we got to do to get, you know, fired up and get my teammates ready. I mean, this opportunity alone, we should be, you know, unbelievably fired up and ready to go. But, you know, it's nothing like a little extra motivation to really get the juices going.
The time you spent with Shaka, he thrives on that, right?
Yeah, definitely. He definitely does. I mean, he's one of the best coaches I've ever seen where he can just get you ready to play just by talking to you and motivating you and showing you, you know, sound clips of people talking bad. So I'm pretty sure, you know, this week, you know, we'll have something to practice where, you know, we'll have somebody on CBS or ESPN talking, you know, down about us.
This might seem like a dumb question, but why haven't you watched ESPN?
Honestly,
up on Duck Dynasty or something?
No, I don't. I mean, I watch SportsCenter, I watch ESPN, but I just haven't got a chance to watch it since Selection Sunday. You know, we got back from New York. I had school obligations last night, had class this morning, so I haven't even got a chance to watch TV.
So you were outlining that business paper, sports business paper?
Exactly. So I didn't get a chance to watch. I don't want